Recording in progress.
Love that.
All right. So, what are you asking me? How's everything with my team?
Yeah, there is some drama. I read a text from you saying you might have to fire your first person. I don't know if you want to get into it right off the
No, yeah,
bat,
no, we're not
but
getting into that. We're gonna edit that part out. But yeah. No, I mean
but just
team's good.
struggles. I think honestly right now, so today is June 21st. We're almost
Mhm.
halfway done with the year. And I just got out of a mastermind and we kind of went over our mid-year goals. How are we doing? Are we on track? Are we not on track? So I guess I wanted to start this week's podcast with how's everything going? Are you guys on track for your goals? Are things slowed up? Are there any challenges you've been facing more than
I mean,
usual? Or is it just kind of
team building wise. I mean, I think we surpassed goals. We just signed person number 17 this week
love that?
and person 18 and 19 probably next week. I love that I'm just giving them
Nice.
numbers now. That's kind of funny. They all do have names. They're not just numbers. But
Uh,
anyway, I don't. We never really had like a growth goal for like the number of agents on our team. I think we're just more like 2023. Anybody who wants to join, as long as they have a good, as long as they fit, they can join.
mhm.
And then at the beginning of 2024, we're going to kind of, single some people out, sit down with people and go over how they were the previous year. And then be like, the middle of 2024, we're going to start to have like, not even sales goals necessarily, because I care more about the effort that people put into it and the attitude that people bring to the team. And obviously they have to sell houses and make money, but it'll kind of be like a twofold thing. And so middle of 2024, if people aren't doing those things, then we'll start to look at kind of weeding some people out. But I think we'll always be around like 20 people on this team.
Nice.
And
It's a
so
big
now,
team.
yeah. So now like we're not focusing. I mean, like we don't actively recruit people. A lot of people have just kind of, come to us and then we've made that work, or just like people who wanted to get into real estate for a while, like they're getting their license and
Do you
they're
advertise it all to new high or like new agents that just got their license, or is it mostly word of mouth, or is it
no, it's all just word of mouth or just people that I know generally. I mean,
nice?
our company does a good job. Like if they meet with a new recruit and they don't think they'll be a good fit as an individual, they recruit them over to us or a couple other teams, and then
Gotcha.
they interview us and a couple other teams, and then we just kind of chit chat. And we've won everybody over that we've interviewed, so that's good,
There we
except for
go.
one, So I guess that
All
would be
right. That's okay. It's probably for the best, you know?
yeah, it's a pretty high batting average. So, speaking of that, I thought it'd be funny since I was at the College World Series to make like a realtor batting average to basically January 1, keep a journal of every house that you show. Every time you walk in the door of a house, you mark it down. And then you also mark down like when you actually have a closing from a buyer. And then you can come up with like your realtor batting average of like, houses closed to houses showed. And you
Huh.
kind of see what that would be like. I just think that would just be kind of a staggering number that people would really have no idea. Because,
Yeah.
people think all we do is like go show one house in our fancy little
No,
car.
no, no. I'm pretty sure these last buyers I showed at least 60 homes.
Yeah, no,
At
yeah. Like I'm
least,
going on 2.5
which
years with
was
certain people. So yeah, I mean
yeah.
it's some deals like your hourly rate is like negative $500, and some deals your average rate's like 5 grand an hour because it's so easy. So it always,
Usually evens out.
yeah, it does totally. But yeah, no, so we're at, like I said, 17. We're doing, I mean, two in the process next week, one that we're getting started on our classes, and the other one's joining Berkshire. She just has to sign our contract next week. So
Nice. Now, do you
um
include this? Is the 17 people just sales agents? Or does that include you and your managers or your ops people,
well, I
admin?
sell, I mean, no, like I sell, so I'm part of the 17, but it doesn't include my admin or my operations manager or anything. My operations
Okay.
manager doesn't even make, she doesn't have anything to do with the real estate side of things. She does all like the home building and development stuff.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Oh,
Um,
big team, man. That's great.
yeah, so we'll probably at some point need like a second, little admin support staff. We might just have maybe like an agent do that part-time or something while they kind of grow and learn the role. But I've started to do, it was one of the reasons I was really excited about that home building venture too, because I mean that's pretty great for the team, but
Yeah.
get there. But I started to do this 90-10 program, um, where I'll co-list one of my houses, or one of my team leads will co-list one of their houses with these brand new agents. So like I have Seth on one, and I have Martha on another one, and in essence they're doing 90% of the work and only getting 10% of the commission. But it's training for them. So like, they go out and put up the sign and put up the lockbox and like I'll group text them with the sellers, so they kind of are seeing like negotiations go on. They'll deal with showings, like setting up showings and getting feedback, and they'll do the
Do you
open
handle
house.
all? Do you still handle the negotiations though?
Yeah, I mean, most people want me to handle the negotiations,
Right, and that's
but
that was my question.
but
Was
I call
like,
them like, but
yeah,
they're on the group call or the group text with me while we're negotiating it,
gotcha.
just so they can just kind of generally just
Yeah,
see
yeah,
how,
for sure.
you know,
But
like,
I didn't know if you were just like handing them
no,
off
no,
to.
no, no, no. Now I have actually gotten a lot better about like this client of mine that was referred to me. He's moving back here from Brazil. Well, not well, yeah. He lived here, then he moved there for a couple years, and him and his girlfriend Ellie are buying a house, and so we're out looking. But then like this doctor that he knew, Dr. Lewis from Brazil, just decided he wants to live in Omaha, Nebraska. And so he's from like Sao Paulo, so like 21 million people or whatever he said is there. It's big, you know. And not sure how they landed upon Omaha, but I met him like Tuesday of last week, and I put him in the Porsche and drove him around for 2 hours, just kind of showed him the city and just everywhere around here because I know a lot about the city. And they really loved Omaha, but now they just want to go look at houses, right? And there's like 12 to 13 a day they just want to go see. Now that I don't have time for. So that I referred to somebody on my team, and I'm just like, you know, team lead, I get 50% of it anyway. So now I don't have to take the time to do it. So I am
Yeah.
getting better about being okay with just like taking 50% of something and having somebody else do all the work. So
Well, time
that way I can
is
just put my time and
money.
energy in things that make sense. But like then these agents, oh, it's got really bright all of a
Hey, there
sudden.
you go.
It's odd. Not sure what happened there. Anyway, now you can see me for the
I
second
know.
half.
Finally, you
That
got to get
was
a better ring light.
I don't even have mine on today.
Oh, why?
Hmm. I didn't feel like it today. But anyway, they so this 90-10 thing. So like they don't have to go put sign up, lockbox up, but you know, like when I get the photos back, like the next day, I send it to them and I ask them, like, hey, would you change any of these photos? As opposed to being like, oh, hey, I don't like photo 5 and 6. What do you think? Because then they'll just agree with me. So I kind of just make them figure this out on their own. And then because I have this deal now where as a new agent, if you're brand new, I won't let you use the assistant for your first 5 deals. Because some days she might be off and you might not know how to do something. You know, if you just come in
Right.
day one and you're just giving everything to her to do and you don't know how to do it, I'm not really doing
I'm
it.
a big believer in learning
Yeah.
that before you start working with an assistant.
So yeah,
Because
so
you
like,
still need to know how it works to tell her
well,
what to
right.
do.
Yeah, I mean, because
You
there's
know?
gonna be days she's not gonna be here, and then who are they gonna ask to do it for him?
Yeah.
Me. And so that's not well. So, you know, then like we'll come back. So like Seth went and met my seller today and walked him through the house and I told him certain things. And then we came back here and I had him do the input sheet so he could learn. Then we went over it today and we just went over like listing contract because we have a class at Berkshire that teaches that, but this is, you know, everybody has their own way of doing things. Um, and then like he'll handle the photos tomorrow. He'll get it. Katie will still input because she's still our admin that input stuff, but they need to get everything to her to do that. Like I don't even know how to input because it's always either gone to our admin downstairs or to an assistant. So I don't need to know how to input things, but and so then they send it off to her and she'll get it input. And so it's just, you know, and then we're doing showings on all these houses starting during the open house, like on the weekend. So then they're doing the open house. They're the first people in the door. So they get to meet everybody that shows up. And so it's really getting them good exposure. Plus then it
Yeah,
shows
heck
up
yeah,
like
that's great.
shows up on their Berkshire website so that they can
So
you
you're
know,
making them the main listing agent or co-lister, or does it matter? I guess.
well, we'll both show up. Like if you go to Berkshire's website, we'll both show up. But then it just gives them something to like post on their social media. They can do it with any of my listings anyway, but this sort of feels like their own.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So then, you know, then they just kind of just learn things. And then I'm also with like brand new agents once a week. I send them a legit scenario, like of a house that's actually listed. And I'm like, Bob and Susie, whatever, want to buy this address. They're using this lender. They're putting, you know, 10% down. They want an inspection. I always put something goofy in there. And then they'll have to like do the actual loop. They'll have to like fill in all the information. Then they'll let me know when they're done and they'll send it to me and then I can review it and just kind of walk them through it to make sure that they did everything correctly.
It's perfect. I think that's great.
Yeah. So then they'll can just kind
Yeah.
of go fly on their own after that. And, you know, you teach them right in real estate, as you know, there's always 1,000 different questions because it's never the same thing.
Yeah.
But,
Still learning even
hopefully
today.
the majority of it they can figure out after they go through.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, that's great. We always have, I mean, little team drama, but I mean, I was telling
As
somebody,
expected.
yeah, I mean, my mentor was Ralph, as I think and
Mhm.
he was the first COVID death in Nebraska, and real estate really was not as fun for me since he died. Not in an arrogant way, but like there's nobody in Omaha real estate that I looked up to like him. And so I think I didn't really realize how much I was missing, like that whole mentor type of deal. And so starting this team has given me the reverse of that, where now I get to be the mentor instead of the mentee. And just, I mean, how excited like all these agents get about just the smallest little things.
Yeah.
It just kind of reminds me, like I, told you about the manufactured home. It's things that we take for granted.
Yeah.
Because like I ran into like one of our lenders in the hall, like this was like 4 years ago. And I was like, yeah, I'm closing today. And she's like, oh, yay, closing. She's like, it's so exciting. I was like, no. I'm like, I get excited when my check goes in the mail. Like, because, I've been jaded, and there's just been a lot of stuff that I've seen in real
Yeah.
estate that a lot of people have not seen. And so I needed to like be humbled a little bit. And they kind of remind me of that. And it's just really fun to teach them all that. And because I used to be their new energy. It's hard to believe I've done this now for 11 years. Right. So
Mhm.
like, I don't even like saying that anymore,
Yeah, no, that's
but,
great. And for everyone listening, I'll just backtrack a little bit for that manufactured home story. We were talking, what was that, Monday, Tuesday, something, and I was like, my numbers aren't as high as I hoped. I haven't made as much money as I wanted yet in this career, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And you mentioned something like, hey, focus on helping people and the money will come, or you'll make more money than you've ever dreamed of if you just
Mhm.
focus on helping more people. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, you
So,
know what? You're right. So the next day I get a call. I talked to this lady for 2 hours. She's selling a manufactured home for like, she wants 130,000 for it. And it's a manufactured home, not affixed to a property. It's basically in a mobile home park. And I have never sold anything in a mobile home park. And it's totally different than like the real estate that we typically do.
mhm.
But she was super nice. And I met with her yesterday. And I'm not kidding. Like, I felt so sorry for this woman. I mean, super sweet lady. But she is just down on her luck and needs to sell this place. And just as a humble reminder that, to most people, a lot of people, $130,000 isn't much for
Mhm.
your house. But to this lady, it was all she had, and she
Right.
got emotional. And it was just a good reminder of like, hey, let's take a step back a little bit and let's realize like we're in this business to help people and help them get to this next chapter of life, no matter what. And sometimes we do get jaded because there's a lot of craziness and mean people in the world.
Mhm.
But when you're truly helping somebody and making a difference in someone's life, like that really gives you the energy to keep going and
Right.
try to stay positive.
Well, I mean, that's just like positive energy in general. I mean,
Hmm.
I've done a lot of deals that have made me a lot of money, but I mean, I want to like go crawl in a hole afterwards because they just drain all your energy, right?
Hmm.
Um, it's funny. I tell people on my team and they're like, "Oh, I want to sell big houses like you." I'm like, "No, you don't. It's fine." I'm like, I mean, they can be fun, but they can equally be as
There's
stressful as all these
challenges,
other things.
challenges with everything. Yeah,
They also don't sell right away. So I'm like, your $130,000 will probably sell in like 5 minutes.
that's the hope.
And yeah, so Alan Cohen was older guy in my office, and it was him, his wife, and his son. Really fun Jewish family here. So they work with a lot of the Jewish people in Omaha. And Alan was like semi-retired when I first got into the business. Um, very retired now, but he's the one who told me, wasn't even Ralph, my mentor, because I hadn't even met Ralph at the time. He was the one that told me, like, never ever chase money, just do what's best for the client, and the money will chase you. I think like that was closer to exactly what he said.
Love that.
Um,
Absolutely love that.
and I mean, I've forgotten that a lot. We all have, right?
Yeah.
Uh, competition gets the best of everybody, and that's why we're in sales. So you always want the next big thing, and all of that. And so, just kind of circling back to that, though, it does humble people, and it brings you back down to real estate ground a little bit. And everybody needs to sell their house, and wherever anybody lives is the biggest investment that they have, right?
Hmm.
And so what might not, and I've actually I've been like accused of that in real estate, where some of my friends don't use me for their real estate purchase or sale because they don't think I touch stuff in that price range.
Yeah.
And that's shame on me because I've
Mhm.
never, you know, if I don't do a good enough job advertising that I sell all kinds of real estate. I mean, I've sold a $3,000 empty lot before, and I've sold like the most expensive resale in Omaha for 3.8 million and like everything in between. So, and generally speaking, I mean, even the last couple of years has been more like luxury stuff. I would say overwhelmingly like 70% of my market is, I mean, probably under 500. Um, so, I mean, obviously I sell all kinds of real estate. We all do. But I haven't done a really good job of explaining that to people apparently, because like our front
Yeah.
desk lady is my mom's best friend, and she wanted to sell her boyfriend's condo. And she's like, well, I'm going to tell you about this, but I don't even know if you're going to want it because it's only $90,000. And I was like, I'll be able to sell that in like 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
I'm like, money is money, and a sale is a sale, and helping him.
Yeah. They
'Cause
all add up.
yeah. And I'm like, what? Or I might just buy it as a flip. I don't know. But like, they all add up. They all make money. They're all clients. And like I told you, I mean, the manufactured home lady could know the richest person in Arizona. You really have no idea like who these people
Yeah.
are or what, and
Yeah.
especially
Or
like,
something could change in 2 years and now she inherits a bunch of money, or
right.
something crazy happens and now she's ready to buy, the next project or the
Or
next
even if
house.
she's not, even if she's
Or
just
if
ready
she's
to
not,
buy,
yeah. And
even
then
if she's
just
just ready
knowing
to
that
buy
we,
a $300,000 house, like whatever,
yeah.
that was $300,000 sale you weren't going to have before, right?
Yeah.
And especially in Omaha, because like Omaha is one of those you do not judge a book by its cover kind of city. I mean, some of the richest people here live in like $400,000 homes, and you never know who they're going to be able to connect you to,
Yeah.
right? So it's
100%.
that's always kind of fun. Like
Yeah.
I watch people who like used to be my neighbors as kids. They moved from like a $400,000 house, to like a $4.5 million house they just built, and I was like, where did that come from? And again, yeah, I probably didn't devote any time to these people because who knew that, right?
Yeah. So that, no, it's a good reminder, especially halfway through the year too. Kind of like reconnect with, where we're at and just think about goals and, yeah,
Totally.
just kind of thinking about the process and progress of the year. And that was a good reminder. It's been a good week just in that regard. Just knowing that, kind of a mindset shift a little bit to, hey, it's not all about the money, but let's
Right.
try and help some more people. So no, that was good. And I'm excited to hope we can make it happen for her. It's honestly, the house is that manufactured home's currently listed with somebody.
Oh.
And she's just like, I talked to her months ago because I had a lease that I listed, and she called on the lease and we had a good conversation. And she was like, hey, I have a place I have to sell in order to qualify and blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, perfect. Like, I can totally help you. And then fast forward a couple weeks, there's one dude that sells like all the homes in her little community. So I'm like, hey, I've never sold one of these. So he's probably the expert in knowing how to get it done. So, but she's just not happy with them. And long story short, even if I don't get to sell it, I feel like I still made an impact and we had a good conversation. And she's like, the next place, I'm definitely going to call you for sure, but I won't know till tomorrow about which way it's going to go. But
Well,
I
it's
know
funny
I
because
can
like
sell it.
I mean, like I've given sellers advice and they list with other people. I've given sellers advice while they're listed with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like I sent this one lady because she has a large home in Omaha, and then they have a lake house like 30 minutes away, very common here. And then I sent her this other house that was built for like $6 million, is on the market for like 3.5, and I was like, you should just sell both and buy this thing. And she's like, actually, she's like, I've actually been thinking about doing that. And she's like, you realize though, my friend would kill me if I bought a house with anybody else. I was like, well, did your friend send you this text message? No. I'm like, I help a lot of people who are friends of mine, but they have these like really overprotective real estate friends. And I'm like, would they be your friends if they weren't going to sell you a piece of real estate? Because I'm like, I've been here like, and I don't really care because I know a lot of people know 2, 3, 4 realtors, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's funny to me because this happened to me last year too, where I sold someone a house, and someone who she thought was her friend unfriended her on Facebook because she didn't use her to buy a house. And the reason that I was able to sell this lady a house, I think this is why. So her daughter was dating a friend of mine, and we went on a double date to a country concert. And then he wanted to introduce me to her parents because they were starting to look for a new house. So I had like $1 million house listed on a golf course, and he made the parents go to the open house. So I met him, we chit chatted for a while, whatever. And I only had the dad on LinkedIn at the time. And so I was sending him listings. He goes, Michael, someone told you that I have far more money than I have. And he goes, these are way out of our price range. So anyway, because they were like double what the house was in the Ridges. But anyway, so like a couple months later, I had somebody that wanted to live in Barrington, and knowing that they live in Barrington and they were thinking potentially about moving, I'd reached out to him and he connected me to the wife, and I went over and met the wife and toured around the house, and I ended up showing my people the house. But while we were touring it, she told me about these little cakes that she makes. They're like this big and they're like $12 a piece or something. This was a hobby of hers. And so for my next like real estate event, I needed, I don't know, 15 of those made. So I called her and I was like, can you make me some of these for this party? And if she was just like over the moon excited, because
Love
like she
that.
had her own Instagram page for these things and all this, like it was her own business, right?
Yeah.
And so I didn't even care. I spent probably $100 more than I had to on these things, but they were super cool. And of course, no one ate them because they looked so nice anyway. They just like left them there. But and then like right after that, she told her husband, I want to use Michael to buy and sell our house. So I overspent by $100 on some things, but I got like $2.5 million worth of business because of it. And the other lady did not like support her business, because as realtors, we ask for like real estate business all the time.
Yeah.
How often are we like asking other people, how can we help their business? How can we grow their business? Hardly ever.
Yeah. Right.
And I probably need to do a better job of that every now and then. So does everybody. And I think that was literally just like, she thought that was the coolest thing ever. And so that's plus the other realtor signed up to sponsor their daughters some team of some sort, and then never paid them. So that was kind of interesting. And it wasn't that she didn't have the money, it's that she was too busy to pay attention to it. And I was like, well, yeah, that's how people are gonna not like you. So I think both of those
Yeah.
things combined kind of
I think that is a good note though, to think about like who your clients, because we meet all sorts of people from
Yep.
all sorts of walks of life and businesses and all that. And how cool would it be to have some sort of like business day or something where everyone gets together to say, hey, I don't even know what you call, like almost like a little network group
Yeah, see,
of
and I
all
hate
the
that
clients
word.
in the same, huh?
I hate that word.
Yeah, that's a bad way to put it, but like
So
support each
so I
other's arm
so I did
businesses.
this,
I
which
think
is
that's
kind of
so
fun.
great.
So like, and you could just do this on someone else's listing, like it doesn't have to be your own. But on some of these like higher end listings that I have, or like I find a cool project, and I was doing this at the beginning of COVID, and then of course I had to stop it because of COVID. But so I had this big listing out at a lake, and it just had like a huge 6,000 square foot main floor, like all open span. It was made for this type of party. And I had talked to this gal that owns a magazine here, and the house was in the magazine. I had talked to a gal who had a clothing store here, and then like a couple of food and beverage companies. And my idea was going to be the magazine hosts, it's called Edge Magazine here, and it was going to be an Edge event because they do one once a month or once a quarter. They were going to host it at my listing, and we were going to turn it into like a fashion show.
Dope.
So basically now you're pulling together 3 people's sphere. The clothing company invites people that want to see their new clothes. Edge Magazine's inviting Edge Magazine people, and I'm inviting my people. So now you're introducing all 3 of those people's spheres to the other person's business. And then it just becomes sort of like just a high-end networking event, but I'm showing off the house and they're showing off their clothes and everything else. Well, that got killed because of COVID, but I wanted to do that too. Like we had a new bar open and it had this cool speakeasy in the back, and I was like, I want to create like an like exclusive event kind of thing. Like we had an interior design company like open their new showroom here with all this furniture in it, and I wanted to have like a exclusive like invite only like cocktail night where they save like 10% off or something like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, it doesn't really cost me anything. I get like some wine and some cocktails and some food and hang out, and people get to come check it out and see the new space. But my planning was hardly anything. I just had to keep finding like new spaces that were opened
Yeah.
to have it at like once a quarter. But it's a great way where I'm connecting with my clients without like doing the cheesy sales calls, and it connects
Yeah.
my
You can
clients to
invite them
other
to stuff.
clients.
Yeah.
Right. And so
Even if
it
they don't
does.
come, like they
Right.
got the invite. So it's
Right. Well, and
really
that's actually
cool.
what I tell people all the
Great.
time. Like that's where that whole ticket thing was hatched from that I talk about all the time. Like, you have 4 tickets to a sporting event or a concert, email it out to your whole sphere. Only 4 people get to use them, but your whole sphere just is thankful that you asked them if
Yeah.
they wanted to go to a baseball game or whatever. Right.
Yeah. That's awesome. No, I think those are all, amazing ideas. And I think we can just do, oh, I lost you.
I had to turn my fan off.
Oh,
It's getting a little cold in here.
what? Oh, it's so hot here.
Well, the air turns on. It's like 65 degrees in here, and then I have my fan going too. I'm like,
Ugh.
it's gonna be a little cold
Yeah.
today. But
Yeah, I think just collaborating with, yeah, supporting each. At the end of the day, it's supporting each other and supporting, yeah, other businesses. 'Cause that goes a long way. Or supporting, like, I just this weekend is one of my buddies slash he's technically not a client. I've never sold him anything.
mm,
He used to be a lender. We've kind of tried to do some stuff together. Now he's not a lender anymore. But long story short, his son was having like a golf fundraiser. So like, oh, I'll go sponsor a hole. And he
yeah,
always
yeah.
asks me questions on real estate or like, hey, my buddy's needs comps for this or this and that. And I think just supporting, I mean, being more than just your realtor. It's just like,
Right, right.
you know,
Well, I don't think a lot of people really understand like what that means when they say that. I mean, think about like doctors, how many of their friends call and ask free medical advice, how many attorneys have their friends ask free
yeah.
legal advice, and like realtors are like, no, if you don't want to buy or sell a house, I don't want to talk to you. Right. And
Hmm.
I mean, you are building a brand and an image and a company.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you're going to have some people who call you who decided to list with like their sister's friend instead of you, but they're going to have questions. And like, if you're just going to be, like,
Take it
if
too
you're,
personal.
well, yeah, like it's not, I mean, it is
Yeah.
what it is. I mean, I've used
Yeah.
different attorneys and I know other attorneys. I mean, I've bought cars from different car dealerships, even though I know the owner of
Yeah.
this one, but like we seem to be the industry that takes that the most personal.
Yeah. And
And I get
I
it
think
because
it's
it's a more
crazy.
personal thing because we spend so much time with these people, but at the end of the day, like I mean, you can't take that personal.
Yeah.
And again, like
100%.
I've also had a lot of people, there's that light again. That's weird. I've also had a lot of people like not use me for their initial purchase, but then like the second one, they're like, oh, I can't use that person anymore. Like I have to,
Hmm.
and I stayed in touch with them and then
Yeah.
they end up using me. Um, so, it's
Yeah.
never, it's that whole like, don't burn a bridge thing. So,
For sure.
but I mean, team goals going good. Personal goals. I mean, I'm way off my personal sales goal for the year, but that's okay. I have,
Yeah. But you spent a lot more time than you anticipated on this team than I'm sure you thought you were going to do.
yeah, I mean, I'm at
No,
sales
gotta
wise, I
make
think I'm at 8 million for the year, and I have probably another 4 million pending right now. No, I have like 5 million pending right now. So we're at about 13 million halfway through the year. I mean, my goal is always 30, so I most likely
Yeah.
won't do that unless I start buying some stuff myself. But otherwise, well, which is fine. I mean, I don't know anybody else that would start a team, get it to 20 people in a year, and also sell 30 million in real estate.
Yeah.
So I'm like not mad about that. But
Good.
and I
Yeah. My
like, I
goal.
mean,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say my goal was 20 million for the year, and I'll be at like 9.6
Oh, that's
after
great.
this month.
Halfway
So
through the
we're
year.
we're on track. Gotta sell, gotta keep it rolling. But no, it's been a pretty
I
good
know that's
year.
the hard part
Gotta
is
keep it going, man.
like people don't realize that like we get fired like every 30 days because
Yeah.
deal ends. I actually get sad because like I talk to this client every day and then
Right.
they're like, we close and like we'll stay in touch. And I'm like, no, you won't, because that never happens. But I'm like, enjoy your home, like blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. And I mean, like a lot of people think the only thing realtors can talk about is houses, which is not true. Which is why I try and have these like events to where people aren't just putting like the realtor hat on me, where they
Hmm.
know other things. And, that's why like I try and have like our insurance person pop on like our Instagram and stuff because people, again, like every realtor should have like a black book of people that they use all the time, their little black book,
Right.
And I actually saw something really cool the other day that this team here has this folder, and I don't know if they give it at closing or whatever, but on like the lower tabs of the folder, they have QR codes of all their trusted vendors, which is kind of neat.
Nice.
And it's just like having that on your website or having like an app or something, because anything related to the house would be great if people would, like put your name with that.
Yeah.
So, like if they have to like look up furnace, like I don't mind at all when people text me 5 years later and they're like, hey, who's your air conditioning guy? Who's this and who's
Yep.
that?
Yep.
And I'm like, I already made my money on that sale like 5 years ago. So in theory, most people would be like, this is annoying. I don't get, it's really not a big
Yeah.
deal, right? And I love that too because I like helping the people that are in my group of like preferred
For
contractors.
sure.
So
Yeah.
so for me to refer that out, it's easy. But yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
But I mean, it's summer, right? So everybody's kind of ebbing and flowing on the team now, and it's fun watching people like meet people in open houses and teach them what they have to do with that and how they write a contract. So that's cool. Our team account is reached. It's we're at we're at enough now. I feel comfortable with operating expenses for a year, so now I can kind of start taking like distributions out of there if I want to. So that's good. We finally reached that
Cool.
level, and it's fun because like there's this one girl that I'm recruiting who she left her other job because they wouldn't let her work remote, and she lives like a half an hour away, so she didn't want to work remote like all the time, but enough. And she's bouncing back and forth, and I'm like, you just need to get your real estate license, and she's wanted to do this for a couple years, and it just takes me to just push her a little bit to because that's scary for a lot of people. And I'm like, well, real estate's the best part-time job in the world until you get rolling. So I was like, go find another job, work from home, and you can sell houses too while you're at it. So it's fun to like, because I don't remember when I was 21 and thinking about getting into real estate, right? Because that was forever ago. So it's fun now to like look at people. There goes that light again. It's so
Yeah, I
weird.
don't know.
To like look at people that are now thinking about it and like helping them, like push them to like do their dream of becoming a realtor.
Heck yeah.
Like it's weird to me to say that people dream about becoming a realtor, right? Because we're already here, we're already selling houses. So.
Yeah. And I think, but yeah, it's just like helping people get that next chapter of their life, really. And I
Right.
mean, I grew up on sports teams my whole life, and like leading a sports team is very similar to leading a real estate team. And, just seeing people succeed. My favorite part about, just sports in general is seeing the progression of somebody getting better or,
Yeah.
that kind of a thing. So seeing your people be more successful and learn things and failing at things and then learning from failure and
Right.
picking themselves back up and going on to the next one. Like that's cool to see for sure.
Well, something interesting that like this team's so one of my team leads is just like me in every way. And I don't recognize that about myself until I see it in someone else. And therefore, because I can see myself in that person, it helps me understand why they do certain things. This is why like executive people are so good at their jobs because they can do this with everybody. They can see like both sides of an argument. They can see why people react the way they do. And I think I told you like last week, my two team leads just got into this just like massive shouting match with each other on the golf course at our company golf outing. And that didn't really make me happy, but I know both of their personalities, and so like I understand why that happened anyway, and I can like sit down with both of them and like I can tell them like why that happened and how we don't have that happen because I know that I probably would have done the same thing like 5 or 6 years ago. So it's interesting watching how they react to things because it's similar to how I used to react to things. So now I know how to help them not react that way anymore. And like it's also fun helping these guys grow on like a personal level, like making them do a budget, not all the time, but I mean some of them. And then I get to like review that and help them kind of figure that out. So it's like I'm really not just here just trying to help them sell houses. I'm actually trying to like grow them as people.
That's awesome.
Which is why I told you. I mean, a lot of it's going to be based upon like personality, how
Yeah.
involved they are in the team.
Oh, and that's probably why you're growing so fast too. It's not just about the X's and O's of real estate. It's
right. Well, because I've never
let's
been
do
like a
more.
traditional X's and O's real estate person, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I grew to what I did, like using an Excel spreadsheet. I never used a CRM. I still don't. I have the CRM for the team. I just don't use it. But I mean, I've not like old school. Everything's just been a little different for me than it was for most other people. So, I like to instill that on other people too. But,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun to like help people grow that way because I also learn by helping them too. And I see flaws in myself because I can see that in other people. And then I know that's how I act too. So
Maybe not flaws, but maybe opportunities for growth, maybe. So I don't think you could, I mean,
that was like the article I read
like,
this morning that said, like, don't ever use the word sorry, like in a sales manner. Like if you show up late to an appointment, don't say, oh, I'm sorry I'm late. You say like, thanks for your patience. So same thing. We're saying the same
that's
thing, just
good.
different words. Your words are more
Yeah.
positive. Your words are more positive than what I said, but yeah.
I like
So
the
yeah, so I
positivity.
have but yeah, so there's me and then 16 other people, and I don't even remember how many people are on your team now. So what's the makeup of your team now?
We have 4 people and an admin.
Okay.
So 5 total. And we were, I mean, our biggest was 7 at one point. One of the guys I felt like was trained enough and or was successful enough. He branched off to start his own thing. Um, and he's going through, it's funny, we just met earlier today, and he was like, man, I haven't sold nearly as much as I used to. And he's like, I didn't realize how much time it was going to take training, because he's hired a couple of people on his team. And
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
the time it takes to train all these new people. And I'm like, yeah, man, it's hard. So um, I have a little bit different structure. When I got my license, my dad was an agent. And when I graduated from college, I had no idea what I was going to do. And at the time, it was just like, hey, get your real estate license because you want to
Yeah,
run your own business, and let's just
right,
get into it. And
right.
so I haven't stopped. But he is very much semi-retired, I would say. So I do the majority of everything, and I've wanted to grow, and initially I wanted to open my own brokerage. That was kind of my big dream years ago before I started a team. And I've realized that the brokerage world can be a little crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't
And
think I want that yet.
there's not enough money in it until
Not
you,
enough money in it. And you can make way more money having your own team
yeah,
within the brokerage. So went that route, hired our first admin. My dad is very much a control freak. He likes to do everything himself. So much so as, I mean, out here it's a pretty hard dig if you're gonna do like your own signposts and this and that. And he used to pride himself on digging his own
oh
signposts.
God, why?
And I'm like, yeah, exactly. I was like, we get that for free, right? Like with
Oh,
the
yeah,
company.
especially if you do it for free, that's just stupid.
And
Oh,
he's all, well, maybe they'll put it in crooked. And I'm like, Dad, it's gonna be fine. It's the sign out front. Like it has nothing to do with the sale.
really,
So
Father Mitchell, you can go change that later if you want to.
yeah.
Let's
So
let them.
anyway, that's a good example of how much of control he needed to be with like every aspect. So when we hired our first admin, I'm like, Dad, I hate paperwork. I hate doing everything that input stuff. Like we can hire somebody for $10 an hour to do all of that. And then that'll save us time to go meet new clients and blah, blah, blah. So long story short, we are still a partnership, hired a couple people that's our full-time agents. And my goal is to keep growing. I think this last year or so, I've wanted to put better systems in place so we can grow smoother and easier and faster.
Right.
That way I'm not spending all my time training them and doing all
Right.
that. So this year has been a big year for me, just focusing on like my personal business. And I think it's obviously it's really helped in that regard. But at the
Yeah.
same time, like I do love like what you were saying, is the training aspect and seeing people succeed and helping them run their own business. Cause here, like real estate wise, you can run it a lot of different ways. You can get clients a lot of different ways. And the personalities of whoever you hire, we just kind of tailor
Right.
their personalities and what they like to do and who are they around, what their sphere looks like, to, trying to help them grow their own business. And everyone's got different goals too. It's not like everyone wants to do 20 million or 30 million a year. Some people just want to sell 6 houses,
Mm-hmm.
or they want to make 100 grand, or they want to not even make 50,000, or
Right.
just
Right. Right.
something else. So that's the other side of it that I like too, is let's put a game plan in place. Let's touch base. I mean, we do weekly meetings, and it's usually like a 20-30 minute meeting of like, hey, what are the goals for the week? What are we working on this week? That way I can hold you accountable for our next call on Friday to
Yeah, for sure.
kind of keep things going. But we're pretty low key, and I'm not super strict with everybody,
Me neither.
because I think you need some self motivation to be successful. But at the same time, like just a little guidance and help, and
Well, and the other thing, I mean,
let's
like
have a good time.
people aren't going to get into real estate, a self-motivated business, if they're going to have to like be here 8 to 5.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's
Yeah.
not why they get into real estate, but that is like a happy medium. Cause like I have some people on the team who I'm like, how do we get this person to like do things? But they're really only here because they're going to sell like 3 to 4 houses a year, and that's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Like they don't require any of our energy or effort. They don't want to grow. Really, they just want to sell the 3 to 4 houses a year. And then it's like, okay, well, we just kind of have to let them do
Which
their
is
thing,
fine. I
right?
mean, if that's what they
Which
want and they're
totally
happy doing
fine, but
that,
it also
yeah,
is
which is
like, yeah,
great.
but I want like everybody here and I want all the energy, but you can't, I mean, if the person doesn't want to like grow, that's fine. That's their like prerogative. And then you're not going to force them to grow. Right. And
Yeah.
if they don't require any of your energy, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
it's not consuming you. So you might as well just, let them do their thing. Right. So,
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's great. I think I'll try to finish out the year. We might hire 1 or 2 more people this year. I think recruiting is going to be fairly easy. I think we attract a lot of good people that want to get hired on. And I honestly, I tell a lot of people like, we're still working on our systems. We're not really ready to
Don't do
grow
that
yet.
anymore.
Huh?
Yeah, don't do that anymore.
Just hire them.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's the same thing when I say like, oh, like I'll go do this when I'm like in shape, or I'll go do
Well,
this
it's
when
more of me wanting them to say no. Like, I don't really want at this point, like I want to keep focusing on my own stuff.
oh, well,
And I
then
don't
that's
want
fine.
I don't want the distractions of it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
I'm not making the excuse of like my systems aren't in place. That's why I don't want to hire. It's more of like, hey, I'm not really ready. I don't want to spend my time with you, to be honest. I want to keep focusing on my own business because I need that for myself.
yeah. No, and
And
that's fair. Then yeah,
so, but yes, I also hate when I mean one of the guys early on, or at least people in the office, I'm trying to like mentor them and help them out. And he's like, I can't do my open house yet until I have my business cards, or I can't do this yet until this happens. And I
right.
can't, and I'm just like, dude, just do it. Like, it's not going to matter. Like, fail, or like, it's okay. Like, not
Well, yeah, and like
having
you're not
everything
gonna fail. It's
perfectly.
like nothing really that bad happens, and like that.
Yeah. Right. It's just
You go to
like,
your open house, nobody takes your business card anyway, so who cares? Just go
it's
do your
fine.
open house.
Right. And that's kind of my whole thing. Like, I forget what they call that. The, when you're just so bogged down with what you think you can't
Oh,
do it
yeah,
until
yeah,
this happens.
yeah, yeah.
And it's just like, no, dude, just get in there and do it.
Well, that's what I was going to tell you, but that's not. I mean, if
Yeah.
you were using, you know, you're not having the proper systems from like if you were using that as an excuse
Yeah.
why you can't grow, then I was like, you should just let that go and just grow the team, and the systems will come later. I mean, we were
Yeah.
not
I
we were
just
not
know it's going to be all
prepared.
on me. And I think that right now it's like things are rolling with my own personal sales.
Right,
And I like that right now because
right,
I'm still trying to work with figuring out my dad being semi-retired and
totally.
me doing everything. So it's a work in progress. And I think it's always going to be a work in progress. But
Now,
at the same time,
do you work with a lot of your dad's clients?
yes and no. I mean, he doesn't do much prospecting. Well, I say he doesn't do any prospecting. Let's start there. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think when we get somebody that's going to buy and sell, most of the time it's like, hey, we're downsizing or we're doing this and that. Like we'll tag team it, and a lot of times it's we the majority of the time go to the listing appointments together,
Mm,
especially if it's his own people, because I like to talk about all the marketing and this and that, but he's old
yeah, for
school
sure.
and he kind of does all this. So we make a good team, but he hasn't done a ton lately, or his clients or his sphere hasn't really reached out
Mm,
lately, which is fine. I mean, it is what it is. Um, but I want to keep growing, and I
yeah.
have my sight set pretty high. So it's a different dynamic, and it's
When are you
hard because
going to
it's your
be
dad, you know.
comfortable? When are you going to be comfortable in your personal growth to grow your team?
My hope was this year doing the 20 million, and then
Okay.
it's go time. That was going to be my this year, because the last couple of years, just personal life got in the way of a lot of things, and
Like
physical.
what's the 20 million? What does that represent to you? The 20 million?
I think it's just a goal. Like I've never hit that personally,
Oh, okay.
and it was just something that honestly it was more of like a stretch goal. Last year, I think I only did like 10 million, maybe
Oh yeah, hell, wow, yeah, that's quite the increase there.
10
Look at
or
that, you're already
10.
halfway there. So you already
Right.
made it.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's so mindset wise, it's been great. Like I hitting your goal or like making a stretch goal and then like actually like being like, I think I can do it. Like
No,
beginning of the
totally.
year, I'm like, who knows? Like we'll see. But now it's like, yeah, this is gonna happen. So I'm like super motivated to keep on track with that. And then I think,
That is funny because like I have my goal sheets over here on the window because I have like these big tear
mhm,
off sheets that are made, and so there's three categories. One is um total like units sold. One is listings sold, and then because those are different things to me.
yeah,
And then one is total volume. Now, really, the only number I care about is the volume in the middle because that's where the money comes from.
yeah.
I just got done telling people not to worry about the money part. But anyway, so the first one starts at 0, and every time I surpass 1 million, we tear it off, and so you'll see those numbers add up. And then the other two count down. So like listings is 50, and every time one closes, I pull it out and it counts down. And, the beginning of the year, all those things were like at 0. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. Cause they were just at like 29, 32, 31,
Yeah.
whatever. And now I'm like, oh, now we're back to 0. And that is really daunting. Right. But then as the year goes on, you start to see that number add up, and nothing goes up there until it's closed, which is also kind of difficult for me because I'm sitting here and I'm about halfway there, but my little sheets don't tell me that. So,
Yeah.
but Ralph taught me that having those things stare at you
Yeah.
is great. The other thing he did that I have not done yet is, so he had monthly goals and he had yearly goals, and his goals were obviously set up in a way where his, he would sell more in the summer, obviously, than the winter, because that's just how things go. And he would incentivize his assistant. So, like, if he was sitting in his office jacking around, not doing anything, her bonus was hinging on if he met his goals for the month. So she'd still get paid her normal like pay, but then he would give her a bonus every month. And so every month that he hit his goals with her help, she would get paid a bonus. And then at the end of the year, if he hit his goal all 12 months, she would get a bigger bonus. So if he's like sitting in his office, like eating a ho-ho or some shit and not working, she's like, what are you doing? She's like, get on the phone, call people. Like he did that. He would sit in his office, and he would also like fall asleep at his chair. Like it was just funny. But anyway, she'd be like, what are you doing? She's like, get to work, because obviously she's incentivized by that. Right. So
Yeah.
that's kind of neat. Those little.
Yeah. I also think part of like just being the team leader or whatever, you want to do the production, at least in my scenario, it's like, I want to be the leader. So I have to prove that I need to sell X amount of houses or, this and that for them to not just listen, but just like
Yeah. See, and I don't
like, the
necessarily, I
grind.
don't necessarily think that's true. I mean, it's
Yeah.
granted, you like, because it does sketch me out a little bit because some of my closings haven't come through yet, and we use Gecko Board. I don't know what you use to track
No,
your sales, but Gecko Board's kind of cool. If you've never heard of it, you should look into it.
I've
But
heard of it. It's really dope. I know well, for me, it was
yeah,
just, it's
it's
more expensive than I wanted to
expensive.
spend.
But we literally tried we tried Google, whatever, and it didn't work. And so we just finally were like, fine, we give in to you, you stupid expensive little Gecko. I'll like show everybody what Gecko Board is one day, but it tracks everybody on your team. It tracks you, and it shows us these little like these gauges.
I've seen it.
Yeah, so it shows where
Yeah,
your
it's super
goals
cool.
are. And it kind of creates little like friendly competition. One of
Love
the
it.
teams in our office is strictly just dedicated to that. And one of my team leads is like almost about to surpass me on there, and I was like, well, that clearly can't happen.
Right?
I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go.
there's some.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna have to go buy something or something on my own just to boost the numbers up. But a lot of my big closings haven't come through for the year yet, so once that happens, we'll go from like inching to like I'm way over here now, and it'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, that creates fun little friendly competition. So
Love the competition. Yeah, so the people that are on my team, we've all kind of are sports minded, so I think that also helps too. Competition. I think competition is a great thing
in a healthy way. Yeah.
Yeah, healthy competition. And I'm sure everyone's got, again, their own goals. So
Right.
just because you're selling this, I mean, I know Gecko Board will have like a percentage of like, I'm this close to my goal.
Yep.
So that's probably more realistic than, numbers wise, but I don't know. It just kind of depends on.
The fun thing is so like when people are brand new and theirs has big fat 0 on it, they all just want that first sale up there, right? Because they don't want to say 0 on the board. In fact, I'll call him out, Steve, my team lead, who's responsible for all of our technology and doing the Gecko Board. For months and months and months, I was like, where the hell is the Gecko Board? I'm like, this is your only fucking job right now. And finally, I figured out he never wanted to get it up there because he has not sold anything. And he didn't want to be at 0. And I was like, I don't give a shit anymore. Put the Gecko Board up there. I'm like, you need to go sell something. So he obviously got some sales going on. But it was that's like how like,
yeah,
I guess like motivating and also like unmotivating the Gecko Board can be, because you don't want to see yourself at 0. But it is fun because like, it's not like a bell goes off or anything. Like I remember when I was brand new, we would they would give out awards at my office meeting. Like they would throw everybody's name up on a screen who like had a sale that week or something, or who got $1 million this month or whatever. And I just like so wanted my name on a TV because it just looks cool, right? And so everybody just wants to be up there and they just want to compete. I mean, the other thing is like
recognition. Yeah.
We don't like hide mine, but I don't like that mine is so like prevalent, because also I don't want anybody to ever like be like, oh my God, wow, he's like 13 million. Like I'm never gonna like, I don't want people to be like freaked out by that, because I'm like, nobody's expecting you to be like me. And I've also told everybody who sat in my chair, don't try and be like me, because I give up a lot in life to do that. So don't do that. So we're doing this cool thing right now. So like every Monday I send out like a big group text to all of our agents now, because frankly, texting every one of them individually that's just not going to happen. But then there's a few of them that I've singled out who need just weekly individual like text messages and goals and stuff like that. And so I do that individually with people, but I told the team this week, you could do the same thing down there with like Airbnbs and stuff. So pretty much anybody who's lived in their house now for more than 4 years is going to have at minimum 40% equity in their house, right? So I'm like, okay, how can we get people who don't want to move to like buy real estate? So again, we talk about we're realtors and we can teach people how to make money in real estate, but we never really do that. We say we can sell you a rental property, but we don't actually like educate you about rental property, right? So I'm having so on Monday next week, we're having our first ever like call night. It's gonna be 3 hours from 3 to 6. I'm having one of my lenders come in. He's gonna kick us off because he's like super motivational. He does these once a week with all of his because he has lenders all over the state. So like once a week, they all hop on Zoom. He'll give like this little motivational theme of the week. Actually, they do this every day. Sounds exhausting, but anyway. And then they'll all hit mute on their Zoom, and then they'll all just watch each other, just make phone calls for like an hour. Now I don't like phone calls, so I'll be in here like sending text messages and stuff. You can do whatever you want. You can call whoever you want, but the point is from 3 to 6 next Monday, you're either on Zoom so we can see you or you're in the office. And it's past Sphere. We did this offers.com thing, so we're kind of working through that because there's like 15 there there's like 3,000 like past potential seller leads in there, and they're just sitting there. So we're gonna get a Mojo dialer, compare it with like the do not call thing, and then just dial away. Because we have people, I mean, on this team who love to be on the phone. There's like 5 people who just love to be on the phone. So they'll call like those types of people. Everybody else will call their Sphere. But one of the ideas that I gave everybody was nobody wants to move right now because they have their low interest rate and everything else, but they have so much equity in their house, right? So we're designing like it can be a postcard, text message, email, social media post, whatever. And like let us help you with one of our lender partners, teach you how to like bridge that 40 to 50% equity. Use that to go either put 50% down or pay cash for an entire rental property, where you can then like depreciate the asset, you can make monthly cash flow, and it's literally cost you nothing.
Yeah.
Because you haven't had to move, you didn't lose your interest rate, you added a house to your portfolio, and it's now making you money, right? And then potentially in the grand scheme of things, if they use that as extra income, they can maybe go buy a bigger house down the road. But either way, I mean, you could do that too. You could do that too with like Airbnb stuff. I mean, you could call people that you know that have lived in their house for a long time. And I mean, I guarantee you, some people who bought their house for like 600 or 700 and it's worth like $1.5 million now. I mean, they potentially could bridge $1 million in equity and go buy like an Airbnb around the corner. And
yeah, that's smart. I think it's just giving you an opportunity just to,
and at the end of the day, if it doesn't work, it gives you an opportunity to talk to them.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to like sell them something just so we can make a commission check and go have a steak dinner. We're actually trying to like teach them about, rental property and making money in real estate. So, and again, I mean, involving like your tax accountant so they can explain like depreciation and everything too. So it's gonna be kind of interesting to see how that goes.
Nice. Oh, dude, I love that.
Because we're also going to launch property management company in the next
60. Talk to Kyle Oberlin in Ohio. He did that last year.
Did it go well?
Yeah, he's super busy with it.
We
apparently there's a lot of people that invest in Cleveland.
Oh,
apparently. Yeah, that's like the next wave of things.
Doesn't even sound like anywhere I want to go, let alone buy rental property. So
we should go visit him. It was a good time. I had a great time.
We'll go up there. But I don't know that I want to like live there, invest real estate in there, but maybe Kyle will change my mind. I don't know. But anyway, like again, we talk about we're realtors, but all we'll do is, sell your house or buy a house. But like there's a whole lot of other real estate stuff that we just don't do and we don't want to do generally. Well, one of my insurance people, her husband is a property manager, and so he's a veteran in the property management field, and I'm giving him kind of a lot of rope. I'm just kind of letting him just run with it. I'm like, once a week, I want you to meet with me, tell me where we're at budget wise, property wise, all that. But I'm like, none of us on the team want to deal with like leaky toilets, clogged pipes, any of that lovely rental property shit. So I'm like, we'll build out an office space for you here. But if you think about it, I mean, for us, it's super easy to refer that.
Yeah,
And
that's
then,
a huge
the agents
selling
on our
point for you
team
too.
get agents on our team get a commission off of it because they refer it. He deals with it all. We're gonna start with residential rental because obviously that's the easiest thing for us to refer. But then I know so many clients with apartment complexes, office buildings, everything else. And so we'll eventually get into much, much bigger. But
Yeah.
and he came in here and we had like a 3-hour meeting and he knew like every software. And I mean, he's equipped to handle like 200 properties himself before I even have to get him an admin or other staff or anything.
Dang.
And like we're trying to figure out how to use like AI a lot more with that. So he's stoked. So we just have to get a couple more things going and get like some marketing stuff done and legal stuff. But I'm gonna like probably offer him like a little bit of profit share with that company as well to kind of motivate. But I mean,
Yeah.
even and I want to go after like easy stuff, like HOA stuff, like lawn care, snow removal, and all that. And then again, the synergies that are created because my other team lead, him and his brother co-own like the lawn care company, and so obviously they can do all that. Whatever.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's something else kind of fun that because I don't have enough things going on, so why not launch more? But again, these are all like they're like supplemental things that one, it makes a little bit of money. Well, it'll make enough money on its own, but it keeps the client like in our house
Engaged.
because
Yeah.
because like like we sell them a house at M2 Real Estate Group and then we refer them to a separate real estate company to go manage the rental. Well, when they want to sell the rental, who are they going to call? They're not calling you. You don't know anything about the property. And the property manager probably has like 4 or 5 people that want to buy it already anyway.
Yeah.
So you keep it in house, you make money,
Yeah.
you're good to go.
Love that.
Yeah, man. Well, that's about all the time I have this week.
Yeah. I was gonna say that was a good one.
Yeah. So let's end there. I'll stop recording.